This section of the presentation, I'll be expanding a bit more on the concept of human trafficking, focusing on the transit portion as it relates to maritime affairs. Some of the topics covered will be forms of trafficking. This is essentially the different types of trafficking, such as sex trafficking and forced labor. The actors involved. Here, we'll identify the traffickers themselves and the people they victimize. An overview of the voyage. Here, we'll have a good picture of what transpires during these trafficking runs. Modes of transportation. We will identify the types of vessels used, as well as the modus operandi of the traffickers. Conditions at sea, which will give you a good picture of how the trafficking victims survive at sea. And I'll conclude with a case study of Australia, where they have been sending asylum seekers to detention camps. And we can go over how that relates to human trafficking. But first, I want to go over the difference between human trafficking and illegal migration. As a reminder, there will be another group doing a presentation on illegal migration, so we want to make sure that we don't conflate the two terms. Human trafficking and illegal migration are two interrelated terms. Think of these two terms as falling under the bigger umbrella of international migration, where there are two categories, legal and illegal. On the legal side, you may have a subset of people that are green card holders or maybe even tourist visas. And on the illegal side, you may have subsets such as surreptitious border crossings and smuggling. Under smuggling, we may find other subsets, such as those who were willingly smuggled, but we will be focusing on trafficking. So human trafficking is essentially a subset of illegal migration. Now, there are many forms of human trafficking. As you can see in this chart, the most predominant form is sex trafficking and forced labor. There are other kinds, such as forced peddling and organ harvesting, but those make up a pretty small percentage. And on this other chart, you can see the demographic of the victims that are trafficked. Most are women and children. Traffickers are often nationals of the countries from or to where the trafficking takes place. They usually are involved in a web of criminality, which include organized crime leaders, recruiters, brokers, and corrupt officials who all benefit from this illicit trade. They prey upon poverty-stricken people who are desperate and looking for opportunities elsewhere. Overview of the voyage. Now, we're going to be focusing on the maritime aspect of this, but it's important to note that the sea-based component of human trafficking often starts far from the coast of departure. Some journeys to the coast may take days and sometimes years, during which the victims get exploited in various ways. At the point of embarkation, traffickers will choose an opportune time to load the victims. This usually happens under the cover of night to avoid detection. And situation dictates how the victim is stowed, whether they are hidden or merely loaded quickly at a window of opportunity. Modes of transportation. The types of vessels used are generally determined by three factors: the place of departure and arrival, the length of the journey, and the general availability at that particular place and time. Large fishing trawlers and cargo ships are the most common due to their large number and the amount of people they can carry. Other types of vessels used are speedboats, private yachts, and inflatables. These are less common due to their limited range and capacity. Depending on the place of embarkation, the journey can last anywhere from a few hours to several weeks. During this time, the passengers may experience rough conditions and extreme heat or cold, all while in a space packed full of people. These overcrowded vessels may also lack the proper facilities to conduct proper hygiene, so victims are susceptible to disease. The journeys may take longer than expected, so lack of food and water become an issue. And all throughout the journey, the victims may endure physical and sexual abuse from the traffickers themselves. When the vessel arrives close to their destination, they will wait a few hundred meters from shore and typically do their unloading at night. The most common strategy is disembarking into a smaller boat where they can touch land in a less secure area. From there, the traffickers would be met by various intermediaries where they can make their transactions.